All right, happy Monday, everybody. We are here in the Willow Bend neighborhood with Franco Albaran with Albaran Architects. He was gracious enough to let us come walk one of his builds that he's doing for a client. Today, what we're going to be discussing is basically the systems of a home, energy efficiency and design, and how that can have a huge impact on your house. So thank you very much for having us come by.
Thanks for coming by.
Yeah.
Happy Monday.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, it's been great, and look forward to having you guys walk the house and check out some of the things we're doing here. So,
Okay.
if you want to, we'll start on the outside, kind of
Yeah.
the building envelope.
All right.
So, one of the things that we had a post, I think maybe about a couple weeks back, where we talked about the zip wall system, this green kind of plywood.
Okay, that's this over here.
Yeah, so what this allows you to do is that most of your plywood has a moisture barrier, like a Tyvek that you put over it.
Okay.
This already has it applied to it on the outside of the plywood, so this is where you get the green color.
Okay.
And then you tape and seam all the joints and all the corners, and it allows you to be what we call dried in at that point. So no more water is coming into your building envelope.
Okay. So you don't, what you typically see your house is wrapped with the Tyvek paper.
Yeah, the white paper.
The white paper. This eliminates the need for that.
This eliminates the need for that.
Okay.
The only thing we did a little bit different is, so in a lot of the building science that you'll read and you'll kind of hear about, especially of late, is since we're building really tight insulated homes, we need to let these homes ventilate a little bit on the outside, not as much on the inside. So we use this product here. It's called Tamlin. It's a drainage wrap. And if you look, it's got about an eighth of an inch kind of projection there. So your siding doesn't sit flush. And in between these little joints, this is where all the water, any moisture that is going to be in there, because it is going to be hot, damp, humid climate. It is Houston. It's always going to be wet.
Yeah.
And since it allows it to kind of wick out. And as you can see here, we bring it down, and it's really easy because it even tells you where you overlap your seam. So if we had another seam here, we would just start from here down.
Okay.
It is very important when you put this in. If you were to have another one, it's underneath. It's kind of shingle style. So you start from the top, work your way down.
So basically these ridges are used so that your siding doesn't fit flat on it and gives it kind of like a 1/8
Right.
or so.
For the
gap.
moisture to wick out behind there, and the siding is still going to be, it's going to be a pretty tight fit, but
Right.
this kind of gives you a little bit to let it dry out behind it as well. And you can see kind of there, there's an example of how it goes right up underneath the board. And
Nice.
so this is our treated wood that we're using for a sill.
Okay.
We're going to have brick come up to the bottom of this.
All right.
So this system is it went on about, they claim about 40% faster than traditional plywood and Tyvek. This went up really quick. We taped the seams and everything. We were dried in. What was nice about it though was with this rain that we've had, and we use it on the roof as well. This allowed us to get dried in sooner, faster, and we're able to work on the inside of the house, running all our mechanical, ductwork, electrical, and plumbing. And then a few things that we did, we have this what they call the zip liquid flash. We started doing some of the joints. We're going to come back and do that throughout the house, but we kind of started on the top where the siding was going. But
And what's the manufacturer's time frame for before you have to put up siding on this?
180 days.
Okay.
So essentially 6 months.
So you can leave the house basically open and dried in for about 6 months before you have to side it. So
Right.
Gives you some time to work.
Yeah, so I think this went in February, kind of beginning of February, so we're now approaching about 6 weeks time on it. And our hope is probably in the next 3 or 4 weeks we'll have all the break in, so this will be completely protected.
Okay, awesome.
The few other things that we did, we're using Andersen windows, the 400 series windows.
Okay.
We'll look at those on the inside. So this is a casement window. So 400 series is kind of their bread and butter. It's kind of the window that made Andersen. And it's kind of it's a vinyl outside and then wood interior product. So it's vinyl clad, so it will not rot. And it's a very nice looking window. And when we go in, we'll kind of go through some of the details about it. But this one's called a simulated divider light. So up at the top where you have those little square windows up there.
Up there, okay.
On the inside, it's going to look like a real window, but the way they build it is it's actually one sheet of glass.
Nice. Okay. And those are this is I guess your garage and your front elevation here.
Yeah, this is the front entry here. They decided to go with an exposed timber frame construction. We blocked out underneath the porch ceiling there. We blocked out so we can put in our 1x6 tongue and groove wood siding.
Okay.
It's all going to be cedar. It's not going to be stained dark. More than likely, it'll just kind of be a natural finish to it.
Nice.
And those exposed fasteners you see there, those metal brackets will all get painted black.
Okay. So give it like a little accent.
Yeah, they kind of wanted the kind of like a timber frame, something that the idea is for it to be Craftsman, but very modern Craftsman. And so then this arrangement here with the front entry door flanked with a window each side is very kind of a Craftsman trait.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, it's very symmetrical and
And it's roughly they're about kind of the same dimension out to out. This is the office.
The front office room.
We'll see it when we walk inside.
Okay. All
We'll
right.
finally get some good weather too for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is your this area didn't flood here, but you did end up raising it, and it's
Correct.
It's you want to tell us a little bit about the foundation?
Yeah, so the foundation, again, it did not rain. The water came to about this point right here in the yard. The house total is rated about 42 inches above the grade.
Okay.
It's a pier and beam foundation, and then we have 2 rows of construction or a CMU block all the way around the perimeter of the house. And then above that, we have our 2x12 floor joists, which we came up for the subfloor in the house.
Okay.
So total, it's like I said, 42 inches. And above the street, you can see it's probably from the finished floor to the street, it's probably a good 7 feet before the. So you'd have to have about 7 feet of water in the street for it to come inside the house.
So 7-foot difference.
Yeah,
Okay.
roughly about 7 feet. You'll kind of see it there.
Okay. And shingles are going up tomorrow?
Yeah, the wood shingles are coming in tomorrow. Here it is right here. Our Timberline, high definition shingle. It's a charcoal color.
Okay.
Again, kind of a contemporary look. So they wanted it to kind of be as uniform as possible. We did talk about a metal roof, but cost of a metal roof is
A little bit higher.
a little bit out of the budget.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So we're walking into your garage now.
Right.
First thing that comes to my mind when I take a look at this building is the 2x6 walls.
Right.
So you want to elaborate a little bit on that? Why you guys decided to go with 2x6 walls? What are some of the benefits of
Sure.
2x6 walls?
So 2x6 walls give you a better insulation value, R value. You can get an R19 in the walls.
Okay.
The insulator thinks with the 2x6 insulation we're going to use, which we'll discuss, you can get up to about an R21.
Okay.
The other reason we went with 2x6 is sturdier construction, a little bit heavier.
I'm gonna go.
But also in the garage, what's nice is that the garage, this ceiling is about it's about total, about 12 feet total. But
Okay.
that wall starts to get about 9 to 10 feet, kind of the garage wall there. And by code, any span, any ceiling or any wall that's over 10 feet tall needs to be 2x6 stud walls.
Okay.
But in a garage like this, even if you were going to do 2x4 in the house, I would always recommend if you're going to have a high ceiling in your garage because you're raising it, go to a 2x6 wall construction because you're going to just get a much better, a sturdier wall.
Sturdier wall. Okay.
The other thing you'll notice, and you'll see it throughout the house, is the lumber that we use is Douglas fir.
Okay.
And Douglas fir is a hardier lumber. It's dimensionally more stable. What I like about it though is that it is more expensive. But if compared to southern yellow pine, which is used quite a bit, if this gets wet, it doesn't really warp or shrink or do some funny things. This stays pretty much flat. What I like about that is, imagine this wall out of drywall going all the way up, a good 10 feet, and then your walls start to kind of wave because you used southern yellow pine. Presents a problem when you start drywall and trying to paint.
Okay.
Now we do use southern yellow pine in the ceiling joists throughout the house. That's not a problem. But again, in the walls, we definitely like to use Douglas fir. It is a little additional, cost there, but I think it's one that's well worth the investment. And I think you just get a much nicer looking product in the end.
Yeah. So it helps with things like drywall, with your seams in case, you do have a little bit of warp in it.
Right.
You may save a little bit on not having to struggle so much with the drywall installation, tape and floating, things of that nature.
And the other thing is the framers like it because it doesn't split as easy. Southern yellow pine sometimes split at the corners when you're trying to toenail these things.
Yeah.
And so then it doesn't split as easily and they just like working with it.
Okay.
And I think it's, for some reason, it feels like it's a lighter lumber, but it's not.
Okay. I see we have the zip system in here as well.
Yeah, so the engineer plans call for this wall between the house and the garage, and this wall over here to be shear wall. So shear wall, all that it means is you're trying to make a one monolithic piece, and you can achieve that through plywood. So we put regular OSB here. We put the zip system here, not because we needed zip. It's, quite honestly, we had an excessive zip system. And so I thought, let's just put it there. And then when we needed it over here, we said we're just going to do regular OSB on that wall.
Okay.
And there is a cost difference. It's about double from the zip to the OSB.
So like $15-$20 for OSB, $40 for a sheet.
That one's probably like maybe $9 for the
$9.
OSB, and that ends up being about $16-$18. But keep in mind, if you use the zip on the house, you're not using that Tyvek. So you save the
Exactly.
cost of the Tyvek and the labor to put it up.
To install it. Yeah. So
And
it's
a little bit of everything. That kind of so they kind of price their product based on that. You know,
Got it.
knowing that you're going to save some
yeah,
time.
save some. So they kind of bump. They
Yeah.
may have bumped up the price, knowing that
Yeah.
you're going to save on material and labor instead of having to put up the Tyvek.
Right. And the other thing is, so for example, in this case, you have a construction loan. If you're able to gain a week, 2 weeks here and there throughout the job, I mean, if you can shave a month off of your loan,
Yeah.
especially at the end of a project, that's huge. That's a big interest payment the owner saves.
It goes right in your pocket.
That's exactly. And our homeowners love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to have the tankless water heater here in the garage. So this is going to be a platform. So this is our floor inside the house. It's going to come out to about this point. It's going to be flat from here all the way back.
Okay.
And then the steps are going to go in that direction that way. So we have the water here, the tankless water heater. Again, we hope it doesn't leak, but if you have any kind of a leak, you're able to have that happen in the garage, not inside the house or in the attic.
Okay. Is there a reason why you decided to go with a tankless versus, a traditional 40 gallon water heater?
Well, I think really it's also based on people don't want to run out of hot water. I mean, that's always an issue, especially in the house. You know, we're gonna have a family. This is a 4-bedroom home, and so we decided, hey, in theory, you should never run out of hot water. And so they decided this was probably the best application for them. It's one unit. The load is not that much to where they need to have 2 of them. You could put 2 in. But in the end, we felt after the plumber sized it, he said, look, one would be enough, and I think it'd be fine.
Okay. And it's going to be gas, of course, right?
Yeah, this would be gas. So if you do electric for whatever reason, you live in a neighborhood that doesn't have gas, or you're kind of remotely out, let's say out in the country somewhere. I learned this the hard way on another project. The electric tankless water heaters require basically 200 amp service by itself.
So straight home run.
Yeah, and you're basically you're building another service just for your tankless. And if you have more than one, that adds up really quick.
Really quick.
And you're probably going to start running out of power.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So we're gonna walk the inside of the house right now, and one of the things that we want to highlight is the efficiency of a home. What is basically on the inside of the walls. The aesthetics of a home, they're important. That's what you see. But oftentimes some of the most important aspects of a house, your electrical, your plumbing, your HVAC systems, and how that's designed, that's really what's going to make your home last the time wise. And they're some of the most costliest things to repair over the long run. So you want to try to get as much of that on the front end, on the design aspect, before we even build. And that's what Franco and his team are basically highlighting here, the importance of design with some of the systems.
Really, I think for us, we're architects by trade. That's what we are. We design residential projects, and we also build your projects. But more importantly, when we go into a project, we look at the planning phase, which is, okay, what is going to go into your home? What are your requirements? What are your anticipated needs? And importantly, we build around that, figure out what's going to be the best solution for you. And for us, this part right now we're going to see, which is right before we cut up the walls, is very critical. This is the part where we kind of slow it down a little bit, make sure everything's right we want it. Because once we drywall, we do not want to tear into that drywall unless we absolutely have to.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure everything is perfect.
I got it. All right. Well, let's take a look inside.
All right. You guys also like the music.
Yeah.
So this is a utility room here, and if you notice right now, we have our insulation companies here, and they're poly-sealing all the joints. Okay. So down here at the base plate, where you've got your treated base plate and your exterior stud wall, they poly-seal that joint, so any air that would be kind of coming in through or leaking in the air would get sealed up. The other thing that we're doing is they're caulking all their joints on the inside. Okay. This is called the on the block, and this is very hard to get perfect insulation. So again, you're trying to stop any air that goes out and stop any air that comes in.
Is this a special kind of caulking that you use?
Actually, we can look at it here in a little bit. I asked one of the guys to leave me one of the tubes. I forget the name of it. We can definitely take a look at which one they use.
So after all this is insulated, this extra caulking basically, since you can't put insulation in there, that's what you're caulking.
Well, you can still insulate. What we try to do is every single one of the cavities, wherever you have these connection pieces out here on the exterior wall, we want to go ahead and make sure we're kind of blocking any air that can go out or come back in. So if you look at the base plate, we're sealing all those areas throughout the entire exterior envelope of the house.
All around. And this foam is just basically same thing, just a
this
little
is
bit
like
more
a
expanding.
polyseal foam. Yeah, just expands. Use it in all your doors and windows, and it's just again just blocking everything out there.
Okay.
Now, one of the things that we do, since the outside of this is going to be bibs, which is a blown-in bat insulation. Same thing, similar to your fiberglass bats you put in the wall in the roll. It's just going to be in a blown-in form. They put a net over this, they stretch it, make a little hole, and they blow it in.
Got it.
And what we did here to kind of give us a little extra protection is we went ahead and we had a little bit of joints back there, so we just seal it all in so to make sure it doesn't go back behind the wall.
On the backside. All right.
We're talking about kind of again on the plumbing. We have a sink. All the lines are PEX. But our stub outs here, coming out for the sink for the connections, are all out of copper.
Okay.
That's kind of standard throughout the house.
So all these lines here. So you have all your PEX lines coming in, and you want to go ahead and stub it all out with copper, so it gets a lot better of a.
See, I mean, you could do PEX. PEX is perfectly fine. It'll meet code, and it's a great product. On this project, they decided they wanted to go copper, a little more of a rigid connection there.
Got it.
And this would be so we've got our 220 here.
Okay.
This is our washer and dryer here.
So I'm gonna take a step back, and so this is all basically walking into your laundry room area.
Yeah, this would be the utility room here. There's going to be a cabinet from this point to this point,
Okay.
all the way to the ceiling, the floor-to-ceiling cabinet there, and then here we have a sink here with a countertop.
Okay.
And then from this point over, there's a washer, dryer, and a refrigerator in the corner.
Okay. All right. So you have we're gonna have a cabinet here. So that's the garage coming in, and this is your washer dryer. You have your gas coming all the way up, and all right. So you decided to. This is a box inside of your inside the wall, and that's basically going to be for your vent going out.
Yeah, that's going to be for the dryer. So this way you can pull the dryer nice and tight to the wall. It doesn't stick out. You have that flex hose with it.
Yeah.
This goes in right here, clamp it, and you're done.
And that avoids having to do that 90 degree.
Yeah, that 90 degree, and it never really fits in properly there anyway. So
Got it.
This way we're able to kind of push it all the way to the back, and it's along the back wall there.
Okay. Same with your gas line there.
Yeah, same with the gas line. And then here what we did, these are typically a little bit lower, about 39 inches, 40 inches.
Okay.
They do have a stacked, well, not a stack, but they have a dryer that's going to be up on a pedestal and a washer. And so these connections are above, so if there's any kind of an issue, any kind of water leakage or whatnot, you don't have to pull the unit out. You just shut them off right there.
Okay. And then you have your vent, of course. Right?
Yeah, so this is an exhaust fan here. One of the things that's interesting about these fans that we're using, and we'll kind of walk through. So this fan is has a humidity control to it. So
Okay.
what it does is it starts to sense the extra humidity and moisture in the air, and it'll dehumidify the air in the area.
Okay.
We use those in the shower, and all the bathrooms have it. And in the bathrooms, those are motion censored. So when you walk in, it turns on, humidity control. You walk out. About 5 minutes after you walk out, it shuts off.
Yeah. So you have I guess when you start talking about or start thinking about smart homes, the first thing that comes to mind is your music, your Bluetooth, but in reality, the smart home technology is moving to everything from vents to to even your caulking and the type of foaming that you're using.
Right. It's kind of putting forward the best practices, looking forward to how can you make this the most energy efficient home, and how can you get that nice tight envelope we're looking for.
Got it. Okay, so this is your laundry room.
That's the laundry room.
All right.
And then, real quick, since we're here, so the AC units all have a primary drain line.
Okay.
In this case, they usually try to tie it into a sink, which you can do that. That's a code. The issue I have with that sometimes is you get a little hissing noise in that sink. You start to hear that. And in this case, what we decided was like, well, the code will allow us to take the drain line out down the wall and outside the building envelope. And then what we're able to do is bring it back down outside and tie it into a French drain system. So your drain line is now draining outside the house, not inside the house.
Got it.
Now we still have a secondary drain line, which is an emergency drain line, which comes out on the outside. And it always has to be near a door or window so you can see it kind of coming out.
Okay.
So-
And going into the French drain helps avoid some of that mildew that splashes up against the wall sometimes
Right.
that you see.
Yeah, and what we like about that is just a nice clean system. And now I've never had this happen, but I've been told that if that drain line got plugged up and stopped up, that it can actually flood out of the house in a matter of
It just matter.
of hours.
Got it. All right.
So,
So
yeah.
forward thinking again.
Yeah, this is the pantry here. Nice big pantry, big walk-in pantry. Things like a 5x8.
Okay.
Nice. So I think a lot of the women would be happy with a pantry like that.
Yeah.
And then over here we have it's kind of an open concept floor plan.
Yeah.
So you have a dining room over here on the left. We have 3 corner windows there. And then on this side we have a nice big open kitchen. It's an L-shaped kitchen here.
Nice.
Refrigerator, countertop. We have a prep sink over there. Cooktop, more cabinets. We have an island here with the main sink.
Okay. So this is a small
Yeah, it's like a prep sink.
compact sink.
Yeah, it's a small one. I think it's maybe 12 by 18. Not a very big sink, just enough. They do a lot of cooking, so they wanted something they can kind of prep the veggies and not be using the same sink at the same time.
Okay. And same thing with the design of the, of the cabinetry and the kitchens. What kind of process do you go through with your clients as far as do you discuss, their cooking habits,
Yes.
how they congregate in their home? How important is that when you're designing a kitchen?
Yeah, so we always ask what kind of products or kind of what your needs are from a design point of view in terms of do you prefer a lot of drawers? Do you prefer more doors? In our case, what we like to do is a lot of drawers, so you're not having to bend over, especially if you even like cabinet doors with a rollout drawers. So you're not bending over to pull things out back there. In this case, we go through all that. We discuss, where do you cook? How do you different things in terms of the layout. We always try to kind of keep the refrigerator. Everybody talks about kind of the triangle.
The triangle, yeah.
We do that to a certain extent, but we kind of break the kitchens up in two. Kind of more of a prep area and then a cooking area. So this, as you can see, this would kind of be of a prep area here. There's the sink right next to the cooktop over here. And then you have the big sink over here with a countertop. And this is where you have your washer. This is where you have your dishwasher. This is more of an after kind of prepping area.
Got it. So you have basically it's kind of an adaptation of the triangle where you still have everything within reach, but you're breaking it up into two different sections. So prep and actual cooking.
Right, and I think the triangle applies more when you have a smaller kitchen. I think maybe about 20, 30 years ago, the kitchens were smaller, so you could definitely achieve that. Today's kitchens are rather large. It's probably about a 14 by 16 kitchen. So imagine if you put the triangle too far to cut across.
Got it.
One thing they did ask for here was a coffee bar. So we have a floor-to-ceiling cabinet here. There's going to be a coffee bar here, kind of at counter height. They can kind of gonna have a rollout shelf that pulls out, make their coffee, put it back in.
That is something that a lot of that's probably from a cabinet builder's perspective. That is one of the features that are being requested the most. Is just like a small section where you can have a coffee maker. I think coffee. With the Keurigs and instant coffees machines that are out now, that's a place that you definitely want to have some space for. So.
Sure, they take up room. And earlier when you asked about with the homeowners, we discuss what's going to be a drawer, what's going to be a door, and we lay it all out. We design it, and we get the approval. If you have a decorative vent hood, in this case we don't. We're not going to. This is going to be an exposed kind of contemporary vent hood. But all those things need to be discussed. So when you, the cabinet carpenter, making the cat, you know exactly what you're building.
Exactly.
And it also makes it easier in the process in that you have a drawing to work from.
Right.
Now that doesn't have to be it in the end, but at least it's a good starting point, and we're not all trying to figure out what's this going to look like.
Got it. So, are there any energy efficiency design concepts here in the kitchen that you want to discuss?
Sure. One of the things that we did here is called the makeup. So, on a home, when you make a home like this, very tight, kind of, this is going to be a bibs wall in the walls. It's going to be a spray foam in the attic. It's going to be a very tight envelope, which is what the code wants us to achieve. What we end up having is that we have a vent hood. So if you have a vent hood, a traditional vent hood that exhausts air maybe about 300-400 CFM, which is cubic feet per minute. In this case, this particular vent hood is going to exhaust about 800 CFM. So we're exhausting 400 CFM more than we have. So we need to replenish that air. It's called makeup air. And if you look right over here in the ceiling, we have this 12 by 12 duct. And what this does, when that turns on, this little brown wire communicates to that ductwork that's going to be connected over there in the attic, and it opens up. And so when this turns on, that opens up and is replenishing the excess air that this is extracting out. It's called a damper. It's the fresh air makeup. The issue with that is if you don't have a system like that in place, you start to depressurize a house, and you start creating kind of forensics issues on the inside of the home. So these are the things that A, we've learned over time, and B, I know our forensics engineer that we work with, he's also, he says, look, I've gone out and seen all the bad stuff, what happens when we don't do it right, so let's go ahead and plan it on the front end, so we're not having to come back on the back end. So that's where a lot of this comes from.
So basically when you turn on the vent hood,
Right.
you're removing pressure from the house,
Right.
the air, and it's depressurizing the home, and this basically opens up, activates, and it shoots
Right.
everything back into the house.
Yeah, so that ductwork you see in the attic, the big ductwork, goes all the way to that end gable over there, and it's got a vent on it. So it's going to draw in, it's going to basically pull in air from the outside, bring it in to replenish the air that this one is exhausting out. And it has to be within 10 feet, no more than 10 feet.
So 10 feet.
Because
And
if you're 20 feet away, then the fresh air is over there, and it's not next to the unit that's actually
Got it.
extracting it out.
and that it keeps the pressure constant in the
Yeah,
house.
it keeps it constant.
Nice.
Now it kind of regulates itself. Again, it's going to have a damper on it. You're going to hear it kick on.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to hear it open up, and then you're going to hear it shut off. And that's standard. I know a lot of that can maybe drive people a little crazy, but then when we remind them, well, it's doing its job.
Yeah, right.
Over time, you kind of get used. It's not a huge thing, but it does. The first couple times you hear, what is that?
So and that beats having your trim, pop off or something.
Yeah.
So what are some of the negative effects of not having something like this in a tight space home?
So we went last week and we looked at a house in Bel Air that did not have that. And what was going on was you start seeing it kind of in the ceiling, but also we saw it really like on the trim. The trim is starting to split apart, especially right next to the kitchen was right next to the breakfast room, the doors and windows. You just see all that trim just trying to kind of popping off, and you start realizing they're depressurizing the house.
The house. All
Yeah.
right. Okay. Well, that's
So-
interesting. That's a feature that I hadn't heard of before. It's pretty interesting.
It never was an issue, but we've seen it on the kind of the higher end homes where they use like the Wolf and the Thermadors.
Mm-hmm.
Those vent hoods are pulling 1,500 CFM. That's almost commercial grade. And in commercial kitchens, they have these systems.
Right, yeah.
And so it only makes sense to put them in residential using the exact same system.
So, you're right. Okay. So just to give you so this is coming in from the garage. You're gonna have this big open floor plan over here. You're gonna have. Are you considering this a formal dining room?
Yeah,
What-
so they didn't want a formal dining, so this will be the dining room /
Dining room.
breakfast room. So it's kind of an open area. It's a nice big area. It accommodates 10 people. I mean,
So it's like a great room almost.
yeah. And so looking back, you'll see that you've got the kitchen. You've got a kitchen over
kitchen.
here, and you've got the dining room over there, and then you got this nice story and a half open living room. So here we created a clear story by bringing light in. This faces north, so it's a perfect amount of light. You get that nice light, none of the heat gain. It just comes in. We have a sliding patio doors here, which are also Anderson. What's unique about these are called narrow line.
Okay.
So it's the same dimension if you look at it. It's a nice narrow dimension all the way around
Yeah.
the door.
It's what, about 2 inches or so?
About
2.5?
inches, yeah. And it gives you that nice, clean look, kind of contemporary look to the window and to the door.
And these still have the film on it, so it'll this will come off after?
We leave this on just for protection, but also, like, I don't know. I mean, we take this off at the end. 'Cause at the end, when we get our energy code inspections, they check for all that, and these are all great. So, regarding doors and windows, every door and window you buy today is going to be energy efficient. They all have to meet a minimum criteria. These guys kind of go a little step above that, and they're very energy efficient doors and windows. I love the Andersen product. What I like about them is that unlike some of the other products that of doors and windows that you get, if you want to do something a little unusual, it's more custom. This is kind of, they don't fabricate the window until you order it.
You order it, right.
So in theory, it already is custom.
Got it.
So
they're built when ordered.
yeah, and it's perfect because they're, one, they don't have, for them it's great because they have inventory laying around, but two, for you as a homeowner, you have flexibility what you want to do with these products. It's not like you have to use this size window.
Right. Okay. And I saw this beam. Beams are some of my favorite type of framing.
Yeah.
This is
So that's a microlam. That's an 18-inch deep microlam beam.
Nice.
And if you notice, one of the things that we do is, so where the beam's at, we'll have a solid connection there.
yeah.
Same thing here. We put a little extra support here because we have this beam coming into it. And so we try to really, when we're doing those things, by code, you have to have these solid termination points underneath them.
Nice. All right. And then I see with the windows also, you have some of this. You want to tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, so this is called the Zip, same company, Zip Liquid Flash. What's great about this, it's like think of it as a big kind of caulking, I guess. But what it does is it protects the sill. So normally when you install a window, you want about a good 6 inches of a sill pan. In this case, you could use this product here to protect your sill. And what we did, we just decided to use it on all 4 sides of the rough opening. We just liquid flash everything. We thought at this point we'll just protect everything 100%.
Okay. And how is this applied with the roller?
I'm sorry?
How is this applied?
No, so you'll just put it in, and then we actually use a spatula.
Oh, okay. So
That's like tape and floating. Yeah.
Okay. You got your can lights.
Yeah, we got our can lights. One of the things we started doing was that we pre-wired all the black, those are the speaker wires.
You got your speaker.
So we pre-wire for all our speaker locations ahead of time. We coordinate all that with the homeowner. It's designed. The AV company comes out, pre-wires all that at the very end. Once all your trades are in, already running all their wires.
Okay. All right. So we have your kitchen, your dining room, living room, and then tell us about this space here.
This is an accent wall. They're going to have 2 chair there, one on either side. An antique that they're going to have restored is going to go in the middle. Remember, 2 wall sconces on either end. They have a piece of art that's going to go in the middle right there.
Nice. So nice little sitting area.
Yeah.
Accent wall piece.
So when we design, we also design with furniture in mind. So we
Okay.
think about, we lay out your space where couches and sofas and chairs are going to go, and kind of focal points. Like in this case, we're going to have a TV, so we'll go ahead and block out for your bracketing.
Yeah.
So these are the things that we do ahead of time, so that way you know that when you install it, you have solid blocking back there. The other thing that we do, we put conduit.
Yeah.
This is all your AV. This is going to be your outlet. This is all your AV components for your speaker and for your internet. And if you, for whatever reason, you can connect it here, but if you wanted to come through the wall, and you have, let's say you have an armoire or a stand here, then you can you come out through here, and all your wire comes out down there, and you're not seeing these funny
Wires coming through.
Yeah.
So TVs and electronics are definitely a big part of the design phase. Knowing where the television's gonna where you're gonna be mounting your television is important in the design as well. Correct. Design and build. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we coordinate that ahead of time. And all this is done on the planning, and what I mean by planning is the designing. I mean, we actually document the drawings for construction, because this is what your subs are bidding. If you let them know this is going here at this height, they know where it needs to go.
Yeah.
So they come in and they mark everything where they're going to go with it.
Okay. Yeah, as you can see, they just mark TV and everything gets blocked out.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we'll go over here to the office, and we'll kind of go in through there and discuss. So in the office, we'll kind of see some of the things that we did.
Yeah.
Go into the HVAC. We have a supply. So this is going to bring in hot or cold air, depending on which we ask for. And then over here on this end, we have a return. So it's a ducted return. which means it's basically taking out all the hot air and it goes back to the main return.
Okay.
And that's every bedroom. Every bedroom for sure has got one, and then we've got a couple return areas throughout the house. But this way, we're constantly trying to draw out the hot air or the cold air, more than likely hot air, in a room.
So we walked the house prior, and this was one of the neatest features that Franco highlighted. It's basically, you have your returns that you have usually in hallways or, where all your air conditioning air comes back and registers back into your furnace or your blower. What they decided to do here was basically add a return. Is it in every room?
Yeah, in every bedroom.
Yeah, so every bedroom has their own return. And did you want to talk about the difference in cost in doing that versus and did you have to do what would it have been without one of these returns?
Sure.
For a home this size.
So this house was engineered to be a 4-ton system. So it's going to be a 17-SEER 2-stage efficiency unit.
And is that because you have the returns?
No, that's the unit they picked, but the returns definitely help out in that you can reduce some of the load. What we ended up doing, because you're making the house tighter, typically it's 3,000 square foot house. People always assume 500 square feet per ton. So you're looking at about a 6-ton unit. In this case, went to a 4-ton unit, so we decreased it by 50% because you have a tighter, more insulated home. And with these systems in mind, it helps out in that it doesn't necessarily make the system any smaller, but I think it's just a better, you see this in commercial buildings. Commercial buildings over there have a supply and they have a return. So kind of the forward thinking in residential design and construction is start to implement some of those concepts and ideas into our homes, especially since these homes are more energy efficient now.
Sure.
And we're asking our home to do more than it ever did before.
Right. So again, air's coming in there the normal way, but it's also going back and registering, and each room now has its own return. So
correct.
That's pretty neat. So
one of the other things that we do on this one we did a little different is that they're gonna have a desk here, and I hate wires as much as everything is pretty much wireless, but your computer, your monitors, and all those still need to be connected to your CPUs. So in this case, the CPU is going to be underneath the desk, but to avoid seeing all those wires, even for your keyboard, this is a little conduit, and then when this gets trimmed out, it's going to have a white plate on it, it's going to have little bristles on it, and you feed all your wire through there into that conduit, and it comes out down here underneath the desk, and it just plugs in.
Yeah, so the desk height, you have your CPU or any other equipment that you have, and it's right behind the wall.
Yeah, what I like about this is kind of more like cable management and trying to get it out of the way, and kind of a nice clean look.
Sure.
And right now, you're in construction, it's a lot easier to do.
Imagine
doing that as a retrofit.
Yeah, that's the last thing you want to do is retroing a brand new house.
No, yeah, that's why I say that once we drywall, the intent is to never have to tear into that wall unless something got overlooked or something happens.
Got it. And then I know you had mentioned the R rating, but does this add any R rating to?
Yeah, so what this has on the outside, it has a 1/2 inch of plywood, and on the inside it has a 1/2 inch of foam. So there's foam between the plywood and the stud wall. This gives us an R3 rating. So coupled with the R19, R21, now you're going to get up to a R24 rating in the wall. But what that also does is that the energy code is mandating that you put what they call continuous insulation on the outside of the building or on the inside. The way you can do it on the inside, if you use regular plywood, is you spray foam these cavities. That's very costly. This is a little bit quicker. This does cost, it is more expensive for that product. But what I like is that you've stopped it on the outside of your envelope, and no longer are we working on the inside.
Worrying about water.
Exactly. Now you can just go with regular bad insulation in the walls here, if you wanted to.
So this helps for R rating and water intrusion. So it's
not so much water, but really just air.
Air,
because you don't want the air leaking out or coming in.
Coming back in.
Because you do have a lot of air that's especially on these corners. You have a lot of air that wants to move into a house.
Got it. Okay. And then I see you have some more of your conduit.
Yeah, this is where they're going to have
wire.
a TV over here, and it's going to run down over here. This is a desk over here, and then a desk over there. And then this is our AV closet. So all your telephone, for those that still use telephones. But you have a telephone, cable, internet, any kind of basically that's going to be for your smart home goes into this panel here. What we like about this is that let's say you need to have it serviced, Comcast or AT&T needs to come in, they come in here. They service it here, or if something's going on outside, they can service it. But it's in one location. Also, your alarm panel goes here.
Okay.
Everything gets located in one spot. So there's a problem, the technician comes here. He's not walking around through the whole house trying to figure out where everything's at.
Okay.
We make it a little bit easier for the AT&T and Comcast guys. There's this orange conduit here with a drawstring that goes up the wall, and it goes all the way to the back of the house when the main service comes in. What they do out there is they tie their cable to the string, and over here they pull it.
They pull it out.
And they pull it through. It should work. Most of the time it does work. Unfortunately, I've seen it a couple of times where it didn't work for the guy, and he struggled to get the wire in there.
Got it.
But this is kind of, again, forward thinking and trying to make it as easy. That way you don't have all of these weird wires on the outside of your brand new home.
Got it. So after all the drywall's up, after everything's good to go, they don't have to climb in the attic.
This is done at the end. This is literally when you're about to move in and you want service. This is done then.
Everything gets pulled through and
Yeah.
good to go.
Yeah, you're good to go.
Awesome.
And they like it because they come in, they run their wire, and boom, they're done.
Are you seeing that? I mean, most new homes that are built, to a client spec, you're going to see some kind of central command with all
Yeah.
your electronics and,
Right.
and cabling systems.
Yeah, I see that more and more, and you're going to want it, I think, just going forward again. I mean, in this case, you'll probably have, depending on how much AV you want, you can have a big rack that's 3 feet tall, 2 feet wide. But everything comes in here, and it's just, when you're building even if you retrofit, let's say you were adding an addition to your existing home in the back, you can still design a closet like that for everything goes in there, and it's
Got it.
perfect. So, yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So this is your office, and it's right from your.
Yeah, the intent here was this could be an office. Also, like, let's just say that's a mother-in-law suite or an in-law suite that they're kind of in the front of the room. They have their own bathroom here.
Okay.
So this bathroom is accessible from the hallway entry, and then from the office.
The office area.
So it would function
You have two.
in both places.
Okay.
So it's going to have its vanity here. It's got 2 wall sconces with a mirror in between.
Okay. And so pretty straightforward. So this is going to be used, I guess, as also your guest's bathroom as well,
Correct.
if needed.
Correct. One of the things since we're here that I recommend, and this is for any homeowner, any remodeling work you do, before you cover up the walls, take pictures of every wall. So a little bit later today, we're going to take a 360 camera, and we put it in the middle of the room, and we take a photograph of all 4 walls and the ceiling simultaneously, because that way down the road, you're working on the house, you want to do something to the house, you know where your plumbing lines are at, you know where you've got electrical wiring, so that way you're not piercing through this,
Punching through.
punching through it in the future. So we really think about that on the front end.
Yeah, and I see you have your copper fittings that come out here.
Yeah, the copper fitting is there, and you'll see this well
Your
on the
PEX
other
lines.
ones. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but yeah, we try to, again, think of all these little details through on the front end. So on the back end, we're just kind of installing.
Got it.
Make it a little bit easier for everybody.
Yep. Okay. This is a hallway. That's your front door
That's
coming
the front
into the
door,
hallway.
yeah, and that's actually a future elevator. So right now it's a closet, but that there on the end is going to be an elevator, future elevator.
Okay.
So that subfloor here, so there's a beam that goes from this point to that outside wall. We have another one here. So structurally, this all it does is hold up its own floor.
Okay.
But we can take this out, rip it out. And we already sunk our elevator pit. This is the door from the garage
Okay.
outside, since the house is raised 4 feet. Then aging in place was the idea here, the theme in aging into this home. So if you're here in a wheelchair, you can have access from the elevator outside up to this level, and you come out here.
Yeah. So outside of energy efficiency, smart home technology, aging in place is one thing that's key. So again, you have your garage, and and whenever the clients decide that they're ready for an elevator, This closet will basically get converted into that, and there's no retroing or framing or engineering. It's all been thought out.
Yeah, it's been thought out on the front
On
end.
the front end, so very important.
Yeah, and all the hallways, if you notice, are going to be about 4 feet wide, a little more than 4.
Yeah.
All the doors into the major rooms are going to be 3 feet wide, so that's a minimum size door for a kind of an accessible for a wheelchair.
Wheelchair. So everything's wheelchair accessible. Elevator shaft is
Right.
ready to go.
Yeah, you try to think it through on the front end, so that way, like again on the back end, we're able to move into your home, and should the need arise, it's there.
Got it.
I'm not ripping things out.
All right.
That doesn't mean something. I always find it's the things that you never think about that down the road end up being the,
Yeah.
oh, we should have thought about this.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, so right now today they're a little bit of both. We're clean up and we're fortunate to make a little bit of a mess here.
No problem.
So this is the workout room. In here they're gonna have a treadmill and elliptical in this room.
Okay.
Have a window there.
So multi-purpose room, gym area. This is gonna be your a pantry area here.
That's actually gonna be this is gonna function like a butler pantry. So the dining room's on this side. This is where all the china and all the kind of the servingware and whatnot will be put in there. And they kind of wanted a nice clean look on the outside.
Got it.
And then this is a linen closet for the master bedroom.
Okay. So this is
This is the master bedroom here.
master.
So by master bedroom sizes, this one is much smaller, but it's still a very good sized bedroom. You can get a king size bed on there with 2 nightstands. That's the back wall right there. One of the things that we do is a little bit that we did on this house is a little bit different. Is so this is you have your switch over there to turn on the light. You walk in. Then we put a switch over here. Now
Got it.
this one is a little lower. It's near the bed because as they're sleeping and you forget to turn off the light, no one wants to get back up, turn the corner, or just roll around, turn it off right there.
I want that on my on my next house.
So this is something that actually came up. We came up with this idea. I mean, this happens in my old house. The house I was living in, this was always the issue when we go to bed. And it's like, oh, who's going to get up, turn off the light?
Yeah.
And so then we thought, you know what? Eventually I thought to myself, it'd be great to have a switch there. And then we got to do it on a few jobs, and people love it. We started doing it since then.
So that's some of the value that you get when you hire a good architect is that they have the experience and the know-how to anticipate some of these things, and that's a small feature that can make a huge difference.
Oh, yeah.
You know, just on everyday conveniences,
Absolutely.
not having to get up and
Yeah.
back and forth, turn off the lights.
And again, it was a personal experience that brought that one to light.
Yeah. All right. Okay. And then again, you had which one is this your return here?
So this is going back to, so we have 3 main returns in the house. Actually 4. We have one outside the master in that hallway, one in the other hallway for the other wing of the bedrooms, and we have one in the master. So we're going to try to exhaust more hot air out of here. And then we have our supply, then we have a return again.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is like an auxiliary.
Yeah, I mean,
Return.
we're really doing our best to try to get any hot air out of here. And it's, again, looking at it from a, kind of not just okay, this is how every house has been done for 30, 40 years. It's, okay, how will we build a more energy efficient, more thermally comfort home today?
Right.
And this is one of the ways that we would do it.
So-
Now, if you're in the north, you're more concerned about getting cold air out. And here, obviously, it's heat.
Right.
We're always worried about the heat.
Yeah.
That's what you were going to say?
No, you basically answered the question.
Yeah.
Just it's not always about adding more cool air. It's oftentimes about withdrawing the hot air.
Correct. Yeah. And in our climate, it's always getting rid of the hot air.
Hot air out. Okay.
And the humidity.
And there's some more of that conduit for your TV mounts.
This conduit here this is where the TV's gonna go, and this is where the conduit run here. Now the other thing is, so we did this because let's say you have a television here and you want to stream Netflix or Amazon or something online. You can hook up wirelessly to that, not a problem. Sometimes you'll get that sputtering, that kind of like where it stops and it's looks like it's cycling through. My AV guy was telling me, he's like, part of that is that when you do a wireless connection, your bandwidth isn't kind of continuous. It's kind of, you're doing it over this wireless network. So you're always going to get a much better bandwidth if you have a direct hardwired connection. So this goes back to that AV panel all the way from here. If you trace it, goes all the way back, all the way to that panel we saw in the front office, comes back down to here. That's where your router's being set up, and now you're having a direct connection to your television. And our hope is that you won't have any of those issues with streaming any kind of movies, video, or anything like that, music.
Got it.
So, again, it's new construction. This is the time to do it. We were actually ready about a week ago to insulate and drywall, but we kind of slowed it down, and we try to kind of think through the process a little bit more and say, okay, is there anything else that we can add to make this a little bit easier moving forward for the homeowner?
All right.
So this is, I'd say, of all the features in the house, this is probably the most unique one, in that we have the master bath, but it's not your traditional master bath, and I'll let you go in over there on that end. So what we have here, it's a master bath, but it's a his and her bath that's separated by a shared shower. And we'll start in here. So this is essentially her side of the bathroom. She has her sink here, a countertop. She's going to have a cabinet that's going to go from this window all the way down. It's 2 feet deep. It'll be her personal linen cabinet. Wall sconces with a mirror in the middle. And then you turn the corner. She has her own water closet over here. It's her own toilet room over here. A window to vent. And then a shower in the middle. And this is her entry shower to enter the shower here. Now, one of the things you'll notice what we did is that we actually recessed this shower.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is, again, aging in place. Should these individuals ever be in a wheelchair and they want the access to the shower, we're going to cut this out when we lay our tile in. This entire stud down here at the bottom, we're going to cut it out. And then it's going to be more of a roll-in type shower. And in the end, there will be about a 1/2 inch to a 3/4 inch difference between the floor of the shower and this floor. So it'll go step down about 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch.
So you'll be able to easily in the future if you need to use a wheelchair, just kind of roll it.
And
to
also
one
just just for the homeowner use. I mean, instead of having to step over this all the time, just walk right on in.
Give it a little bit more seamless look on the floor as well.
Correct.
Like if it's all.
We're gonna have a bench here, and we're gonna slope. This will be the high side of the shower. It'll slope down to the low end over there.
Okay.
So behind all this is her master closet. What you like?
And how big is the total dimensions of the shower?
The shower is gonna be about 3.5 feet wide by about 8 feet long, 7.5 feet long. So this is the master, her closet back in this area. Custom cabinets and shelves are going to be installed here as well. So again, talking about that foam insulation, we're putting that in there. So we're trying to terminate everything on the outside there, so we don't have any more air coming in.
And that's basically every crack,
everywhere we can along the outside wall.
even the top of the silk, the plates are.
Oh yeah. So if you look at those are the exhaust fans up there, those metal tubes going out. And then they put their, I don't know what they call it, but I call it their putty or whatever their kind of the plaster like that they do. One of the things that we did is we minimize the termination points through the roof, so we don't have only the vented pipes for the plumbing fixtures that we have going through the roof. All the fans we have them going through the outside wall.
Okay, so you have your bathroom vents and your dryer vents. All those are going out of the wall instead of typically up through up to the
in
roof.
case you have a water leak, we're trying to minimize those leaks. We have a nice, clean, seamless look in the attic. The other thing that I like about this is that we are terminating above the conditioned space, so it's not inside the area that's going to be cool. And so it's above it, so we try to minimize against any kind of building forensics issues we create by having termination points out there.
Oh, okay.
Just so there's a lot of kind of building science that goes into building a home today, and these are just kind of some of the things that we started exploring on these jobs. One of the things you'll notice up there, and you'll kind of see that fan
In the shower.
in the shower.
Yeah.
So this fan, along with the fan in the toilet room, is going to be a humidity control and a sensor control. So these fans will automatically turn on when you walk in, and they sense the humidity levels, and they will go ahead and dehumidify that space for you.
Wow. And I'm assuming the one for the shower, it's somewhat water resistant,
Yes.
moisture resistant. So
Yeah, it'll be moisture resistant, but again, it's humidity control, and it's also going to be a sensor. More importantly, it's sensor control. We had an issue where it wasn't even our project; it was another builder friend of ours that his client would turn the fan on and forget to turn it off throughout the day. And it created a lot of forensics issues in the end. He somehow, I forget exactly what it was, but it kind of started creating mold for him in a few areas. And the building forensics engineer we work with, he told us, he's like, that's the flip. So now it's kind of think of the exhaust we were talking about earlier. You're doing the exact same thing, but now this is running for 10 hours a day.
right.
He's like, and over time, it creates a problem. And so, thus the sensor control. And these come in on commercial buildings all the time.
So is there a switch where you can do automatic, or is it all 100%? Manual, or is it 100%
No,
automatic?
that one is wired to the lights.
The lights. Okay. Got
So
it.
when you turn on the light, that thing's gonna turn on.
Okay.
You turn it off, and it'll turn off. Here, these have their own switch, but again, they sense it and they come on and off on their own.
That's a nice feature.
So then on this side of the bathroom, same thing. Where we have this would be his side. He's got a sink over here, the countertop. He has this cabinet, vanity.
So I'm going to take a step back. So basically, you walk in and you have a split bathroom, his and hers and his,
Right.
with
a shared shower.
a shared shower.
Yeah, and then they each have their closet in the back.
Nice.
And so then everyone's got their own water closet.
Two toilet.
Two
You know,
toilet-
you don't see that very often, but
No.
that's a nice feature to
I
have.
hear it's a marriage saver.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then he has this closet back here in the back.
So nice size closet.
Yeah, these would be custom
Walk in.
cabinets.
Yeah, and then he has his own shower entrance as well here. So,
Correct, yeah. So she would enter on that side of the shower. He enters on his side over here. And if you step in, you'll see how he's got his own shower head. Then she has her own shower head on the other side as well.
Okay.
Now, one of the other things that we did, you'll look at, is all of our supplies and connection points are going to be copper. And that just gives you a much, long term, it's just a better connection.
Better connection.
Now, the other thing to think about is sometimes, depending on your manufacturer, you can do PEX. PEX is fine. But depending on the manufacturer, especially if you go to a higher end, like a shower head or a faucet, sometimes, I don't know why this works, but with a copper line, sometimes when you turn off the shower head, it works fine. With the PEX, you turn off the shower head and it would kind of leak.
Yeah, you got.
And what ends up happening is that I think, and I suspect, and we kind of did some digging around, is that the inside diameter of the PEX line is about a 1/16 of an inch more than the inside diameter of a copper line. And that extra 1/16 of an inch gives you more water pressure, but it's more than what the shower head can accommodate, so it kind of trickles after you turn it off.
That's
I never
interesting.
thought about that, but we had that come up, and then when I asked our plumbing rep, she told us, and we swapped it out, and it quit happening. And then when I investigated it, I realized these are a little bit bigger, which is nice, but also creates problems.
A little bit of problem.
So
Yeah, because
again-
you multiply that extra space times the whole line, and you have a little bit more water
Yeah.
coming through.
Yeah, and so I never thought you would think a little extra would be good for you, but in this case, it kind of worked against
Works
us.
against you, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, we learned that one.
All right. So
So when we design and build homes, we obviously learn every project. We learn something for the next one, and then we're learning things here that we're going to apply to the next one and whatnot. So we try to take all that knowledge and all that everything that we come up with over the years and try to apply it to every home moving forward.
yeah. Okay. Was there anything else you wanted to highlight?
No, I think that's pretty
pretty
much
good?
it. Yeah.
Yes.
You can see we're in the process of cleaning up today. So one of the things we do is clean up all the cavities in the wall, so we don't have any sawdust laying around before we cover everything up.
Okay. Well, the importance again of good design, working with people that are experienced, and I guess more importantly, being able to communicate from what the client wants to making it, an actuality is truly important. Franco Albaran with Albaran Architects. really appreciate
No, thank you guys, man.
coming out
No, I
and
appreciate you guys
walking the
coming out.
property. I learned a lot today. Definitely. I'll put his contact information on the comments below. Yeah, absolutely interesting to see some of the some of the features that you need before you start putting up, the pretty stuff. This is absolutely just as important, and you've done an amazing job here.
Thank
so
you. And the other
congratulations.
thing I was going to say is that this seems overwhelming. It's a lot of information to take in, but that's what a good architect and a good builder will aid you through that process, and it's something you achieve together. It's truly a collaborative effort between everybody to achieve something like this. So,
Absolutely. Okay.
right.
Well, thank
Hey,
you very much
thanks again.
and
Thanks,
we'll talk to you
guys.
guys soon. Take
Enjoy
it easy.
your week. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.